welcome back. How you guys doing? Back with another F1 video, man. 9 things that led to Alain Prost being fired by Ferrari. You guys know he was teammates with Ayrton Senna. The rivalry formed between them. You guys have helped me, and educated me on that. Rivalry formed between them, jealousy, whatever. So we are finna see why did Mr. Prost get fired for Ferrari. But if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to like the video and so as well. Hopefully you guys are doing great, amazing, wonderful. You guys know the deal. Let's go and get started. Let's go ahead and get started, man. Yes, sir. You already know. No hat today. Also, no hat today. That is actually right next to me, but I'm not rocking a hat. But let's go and get started.
Imagine if Sebastian Vettel had joined Ferrari as world champion, nearly won the title again in his first year with the team, and then been fired before the end of his second. That's effectively what happened at Ferrari nearly 30 years ago.
Shout out to your race always.
When Alain Prost joined the team for 2 roller coaster seasons in red. There's one very famous reason that is often given for why Prost was sacked, which we'll come to later on, but the story was far more complex than that, and things started unravelling more than a year before Ferrari pulled the trigger. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of what we're up to here at the race, and if you want to hear much more about Prost's falling out with Ferrari, check out our Bring Back V10's Retro F1 podcast, where we dedicate 2 episodes to how this partnership fell apart.
That's what's up. Tension with
It might seem strange to attribute Prost's sacking in November 1991 to his teammate from 1990. But the tension with Mansell during their season together planted the seeds for the problems of the following year. When Mansell won the Portuguese Grand Prix after accidentally swerving towards Prost at the start, Prost was furious that his championship battle with Ayrton Senna had been compromised. Prost hit out publicly at Mansell and Ferrari, saying Mansell could do all the testing if he was only interested in looking after himself. He also called Ferrari a team without directive and without strategy, and said it did not deserve to be world champion in a fight with a team as well structured as McLaren.
Okay, well, when you were saying that, you're asking for trouble. You know what I mean? When you come out saying stuff like that now, listen, if that's what, he accused Buddy of doing, Mansell, so be it. But you guys, will obviously know this more than me, but when Mr. Prost came out and said that, basically, it's already causing trouble. You're already going to have people looking at you on the Ferrari team like, did he just say that? Did he just say that? What's good with Buddy? Did he just really just say that about us?
Mansell followed Prost home in a 1-2 next time out in Spain, prompting Prost to say the best way to get something done is to make your dissatisfaction public.
Yeah.
Of course, there are 2 sides to every story.
Right.
Mansell was unhappy earlier in the year when he accused Prost of having their cars switched at the British Grand Prix, and Ferrari team boss Cesare Fiorio, more on him later, said Prost started the tension between the two by making his own last-minute setup changes at the second race of the year in Brazil, when the drivers were supposed to be working together and sharing data.
Oh, yeah. That's lame.
One of the reasons Prost wanted to sign for Ferrari in the first place was to work with ex-McLaren designer John Barnard. But Prost was unaware Barnard wanted to leave, having grown tired of working for an Italian team from a UK base and still having to frequently travel to Italy. Barnard was also unaware Prost was coming to Ferrari, a sign of the lack of clear communication that would hold the team back so much prior to Jean Todt's arrival in 1993.
So I already know Ferrari has just right now they seem like they have communication issue. They don't really communicate fairly. You saw that with with Prost and Mendel, whatever his name is. I just forgot his name. That's how bad my memory is. But you can already tell there was a bit of communication issues that was going on with Ferrari. Should they have been better with that? Yes, of course.
Prost convinced Steve...
But like I said, I don't know the full story. This is just what I am assuming from the video.
Nichols to come with that's just what
I am assuming.
But that resulted in tension as well, as Nichols was seen by some in Ferrari as Prost's man. Prost's 1990 title challenge led to Ferrari pushing back its development work for 1991 to spend more time in the wind tunnel with its current car. The 1991 car was expected to arrive in the middle of the season, but Nichols was able to get a number of updates, mainly to the areas behind the driver, ready for the start of the year. Given how competitive the gorgeous 641 design was in 1990,
Yeah, it looks
Ferrari
nice.
believed making small improvements to that car would be enough. Its confidence was also boosted by difficulties for its rivals. McLaren was struggling to adapt to Honda switching from a V10 to a V12 engine, Williams had a fragile new semi-automatic gearbox, and Benetton was starting the year with its old car.
What the hell was that?
That made Ferrari think it didn't need to make a huge step in 1991. But the other front-running teams all made significant changes with their designs, while the
a bit of cockiness. You always got to improve. You always got to be better. You know what I mean? Because everybody else is getting better around you, and if they're just content on where like the engine in the car is, good luck. Everybody's trying to get better. You just staying level. It's going to catch up sooner or later.
Ferrari could be clearly traced back to Barnard's 1989 car.
Barnard.
Just 2 races in, it became clear Ferrari had fallen behind, and instantly there was talk of a crisis at Maranello.
Told you.
As
Politics.
Ferrari rushed new parts onto the 642 for its home race at Imola, talk of a power struggle between Prost and Fiorio was mounting. Prost was being accused of trying to make Ferrari like McLaren from an operational standpoint, and he appeared to be winning the battle for hearts and minds of the team and the public. After Prost gave an interview where he claimed he was having to run the team as well as drive the car, he agreed a truce with Fiorio. Then he spun off on the warm-up lap at Imola, and all the power shifted back to Fiorio. Prost hit out at Ferrari again in an interview, saying internal crisis is a normal thing at Ferrari. When the team wins, it is a crisis of optimism. When that happens, everything stops. That's what happened in the off-season. He then said Ferrari was lacking a leader of men like Ron Dennis at McLaren. The power shift didn't last long, as just weeks later Fiorio...
If you love McLaren so much, dude, just go back. Like, just go to them. Just
was
go back.
fired and new management was installed. However, to this day, Prost is unhappy that Fiorio's sacking was blamed on him, which he believes was another political game being played behind the scenes.
Hide it.
Ferrari's definitive 1991 car, the 643, made its debut at the French Grand Prix and was immediately quick. Prost nearly won his home race, leading a total of 44 laps before losing out to Nigel Mansell's Williams. Prost tried to downplay expectations after that, reminding everyone that the car was brand new and had barely any testing mileage before its race debut. Sure enough, things were tougher next time out at the British Grand Prix, as the 643 had not been ready in time for a Silverstone test before its race debut in France, so Ferrari was on the back foot.
Yep.
The tension behind the scenes continued, with Umberto Agnelli, brother of Fiat president Gianni, questioning Prost's motivation. Prost snapped back that if Ferrari didn't want to keep him, he was ready to quit, but Gianni Agnelli smoothed things over, telling Prost to ignore his brother's comments. However, it was the first mention of Prost potentially leaving Ferrari after he'd already signed a contract extension for 1992.
With the family.
The Italian media is incredibly influential at Ferrari, and suppressing that influence was one of the key challenges Jean Todt and Ross Brawn faced as they aimed to turn Ferrari into a powerhouse towards the end of the 90s. As Prost and Ferrari failed to repeat the heroics of that French Grand Prix performance over the summer of 1991, Prost took aim at the Italian media. He said, "After Manicourt, they criticised me for not winning. If I could lead, why could I not win? All year long they have been writing that it's all my fault Ferrari is not winning, and it gets on my nerves. I don't read that."
First thing, don't come at Alain Prost. He's gonna buck back. Mr. Prost is gonna buck back. You come at him, best believe he's snapping back. He don't give a damn. You know what I mean? He's coming right back at you. Yeah. Don't come at the man.
Stuff anymore, but in the factory everyone reads it.
Don't come at the man.
The press has incredible influence in Italy and on the team too, more than I would have believed possible.
I'm not surprised.
Weeks later he took another shot, saying many of Ferrari's problems came from the Italian press. He accused them of making up stories from a test at Imola where he gave no interviews yet was quoted in the newspapers.
Oh, where's Mr. Prost from?
Every day. Prost admitted that he was his own worst enemy at times because he didn't like lying in interviews, so he would often say more than he should, which could get him into trouble.
True.
But as the season wore on, he fell out with more members of the media, accusing the French and Italian press of making conflict and accusing him of crying all the time because they had got bored of seeing him at the top for so long.
Spanish
Through all
GP.
this turmoil on the track and off it, Prost
That was
declared
funny.
again in early September that he was staying at Ferrari for 1992, and there was a chance to win a race later in 91 that went begging. Prost wanted to start the damp Spanish Grand Prix on slick tyres, but he was overruled because of what he described as stupid pressure which made Ferrari operate in fear of taking brave decisions. Prost pitted for slicks after just 3 laps and charged through to second, but he resented being denied the opportunity to take the tyre gamble from the start. Ask most people why Prost was fired by Ferrari, and the answer is that he called the car a truck. He uttered the famous line after the Japanese Grand Prix, but what gets forgotten is that he said it because his shock absorbers failed and it made the car incredibly difficult to drive. Prost said worse things about Ferrari earlier in that weekend, when he complained that no one was listening to him about the defects of the 1991 car. He said the atmosphere in Ferrari was strictly negative.
Look at the swag back then in Japan. First thing first, look at the swag back then. You know what I mean? Nasty ass blue jeans. I hate wearing jeans. With the little fit, with the hat. Oh yeah. Hey, that's a smooth little fit. Okay, your boy likes the fits back then. He's styling right here with the little, big ass jacket. Nice little hat. My man enjoying himself with the shades. My man happy. That man
While
excited
Ayrton
to see
Senna
race.
was winning another championship with McLaren because of the positive attitude of an English team. Prost was fired in the week before the Australian Grand Prix and replaced by Gianni Morbidelli. Ferrari said they were happy with his performance as a driver, but his behaviour inside and outside the team meant the relationship had to end. Ferrari said Prost's behaviour got much worse in the week before he was sacked, which is why everyone thinks the truck comment was the final straw. Remarkably, in the weeks before he was fired, Prost was in discussions about becoming the sporting boss of Ferrari alongside his role as driver for 1992. Prost was keen to take the role on and said negotiations were advanced, but he believes he was let go as a result of political battles behind the scenes involving people who didn't want him to have that much power. He said the stories about his behaviour were cooked up to get rid of him, and he points out that just weeks later the people that axed him were also turfed out, with Luca Di Montezemolo taking over as president of Ferrari. Prost accepts it was maybe a mistake to try to change the culture of Ferrari in the way that he did, but a lot of what he tried to do was put in place when Todd created the dominant Michael Schumacher era of the 2000s, so maybe Prost was right all along. Do you think Ferrari was right to fire one of F1's greatest drivers?
I don't think, listen, I mean, yes, Alain Prost and Ferrari had some issues. Obviously, the car, I mean, you're calling the car a truck. That's going to rub people some wrong way. Obviously, the politics, I'm not really sure how the politics are in F1, especially with Ferrari. I think Ferrari is like probably like the biggest Italian like thing anyway over there. So then you're bucking with teammates, you're getting mad with teammates. Then you were trying to be a boss and a driver. That doesn't really work out to me. That's just my opinion. And then it just seemed like it was just always something. Then here you are bucking with the media. I mean, listen, as the media can be, fugazi. They they can be annoying. We know that. But, they're just trying to do the job and all that. But it just seemed like, but my thing is, like, I think he kept trying, like, to me, it seemed like he kept trying to compare Ferrari to McLaren. Like, he always, because he always mentioned how McLaren did this, how McLaren did that. That's why I was like, just go back. Like, just go back to McLaren. But I think he was just trying to bring a different mentality to Ferrari. I don't think Ferrari was really messing with it. But you guys let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and sub. Comment down below your thoughts and reactions. See you guys later.